Good evening, Mayor Zaragoza, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the Council. My name is Eden Alomeri, Assistant City Treasurer and Billing and Licensing Director. I'm presenting tonight the report on discontinuing the approximately $500,000 subsidy for convenience fee associated with accepting credit cards, debit cards, and electronic checks as payment methods for certain city services and fees. The recommendation is that the City Council conduct a public hearing to consider the establishment of fees to cover the costs of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit cards, and electronic check transactions for city services, and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. And following the public hearing, adopt a resolution establishing fees to cover the costs of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, and electronic check transactions for city services and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. To give you a brief background, Government Code Section 6159 authorizes the acceptance of a credit card, debit card, or electronic fund transfer for payment of services rendered by a city. The statute authorizes the city to impose a fee not to exceed the cost incurred by the city. In 2003, Council approved the use of credit cards to pay city fees. At that time, staff estimated this would cost the city $17,800 for every $1 million in credit card transactions. In actuality, the city has subsidized customers' use of payment cards and e-checks as follows. In 2018, the city subsidized $492,617. In 2019, city subsidized $534,832. And in 2020, the city subsidized $520,565. Currently, the city accepts credit and debit cards for a broad range of services like utility bill payments, business taxes, short-term rentals, building permits, fire inspection, recreation class fees, parking citation, false alarm citation, and parking meters. Additionally, e-checks are accepted for utility payments over the phone. Although credit and debit card and e-check payments offer convenience to our customers, since 2003, the city has had to pay fees for transactions to the gateway, the merchant, and the credit card companies like Visa or MasterCard, and also to the e-check processor, each of which perform a function to complete the transaction and enable the city to collect the payments. The table shows some of the fees that these service providers charge the city. For example, for Gateway, Paymentus charges 45 cents per credit card transaction. For interchange, Visa and MasterCard charge a percentage plus a flat fee per transaction. As a merchant, Telecheck charges 2.55% plus 20 cents per electronic check payment. The actual list is much longer than what we are showing in this table. Please note that there are some services for which the city is already charging a fee for using credit cards, so the city is not currently subsidizing those usages. Because in the past, departments implemented different programs using various vendors and software to address their needs. This fee varies. In some cases, they are just using a different credit processor. In other cases, the processor is selected by the vendor that offers the larger program. Some programs charge a flat fee, while some charge a percentage. For example, you will see on the table that Community Development Short-Term Rentals, or SDR, uses Stripe and charges $2.95 plus 30 cents per transaction, while Police Department's Admin Citation uses Phoenix Group that charges $3.95 or 3.25% per transaction. Due to contractual obligations, the city cannot immediately change the rate that is currently being used by their service providers. Instead, the city will continue to use the rate that was set in the contract with various service providers. As each of these contracts becomes due, staff will evaluate the value and viability of switching over to the vendor used for utility billing. Eventually, the city may be able to uniformly implement the credit card processing fee to all departments and various payment locations. There are instances where the city is subsidizing the fee, and staff recommends continuing that subsidy, at least temporarily. Some programs don't allow us to pass along the credit card processing fee to customers, so if we are intent on doing so, we will have to opt out of those programs. The threshold question for council is whether the city should continue to subsidize the use of credit cards where this convenience fee has not already been passed on to users and where it is possible to pass along the fees to the users. Staff is targeting the percentage that recovers as much as possible of the actual subsidy without inadvertently charging extra. To arrive at the proposed rate to charge as transaction fee, staff perform an analysis of the fees paid in the past 3 years in relation to the amount collected, using only the regular undiscounted rates. The table shows the average rate the city paid in the past 3 years for credit card transaction over the counter and e-checks payments over the phone. So, for example, over the counter for the past 3 years, the average rate that the city paid is 2%. For e-checks, the average rate that we paid was 2.7%. Our analysis showed that the average cost to the city per transaction is 2.35%. The rate of 2.35% is on the low end of the range when compared with some other agencies that charge transaction fees. For reference, the table before you was summarized from a recent survey of convenience fees and shows the rate other cities charge. For example, City of Thousand Oaks charges 2.65% for charges over $500 and $2.75 for charges below $500. City of Ventura charges 3% for in-person payments, $3.95 for online payments, and $4.25 for payments over the phone. Ventura County charges 2.15%. On the right-hand side of the table towards the bottom, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and City of Truckee both charge 3%. For our timeline, for Government Code Section 66018, the City Council must hold a public hearing for the purpose of implementing such fees. If Council adopts the fees, the implementation period will take place over a few months. Throughout the summer, we will go through the testing phase with Paymentus as our gateway to ensure that the payment processes will work as expected. The testing phase should be completed by early fall. We will provide an update to the City Council when the program takes effect. For financial impact, approval of the recommended transaction fee is estimated to save the city approximately $500,000 annually. Once again, the recommendation is that the City Council conduct a public hearing to consider the establishment of fees to cover the cost of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, and electronic check transactions for city services and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. And following the public hearing, adopt a resolution establishing fees to cover the costs of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, and electronic check transactions for city services and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. This is the end of my presentation. I will be present at the meeting to answer your questions.